Let's make some noise. Come on.
Oh, thank you, as always, Nick Foles, for that great introduction. Indeedy, let's make some noise. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the final word of your broadcast week. That's it, man. It's Wednesday night, but we're going to wrap it up tonight. Got post-game duty tomorrow. So you're absolutely at the final word of your sports day and of our sports week together. And tonight we're going to take it out in style. Midday blues, midday struggles, hump day, whatever you like to call it. We don't recognize that here on the program because we're going to keep powering through like this. Every day's Friday night. And here on the show, never a shortage of topics. Phillies with a very sound victory over the Tampa Bay Rays tonight, 7-0, two-hitter. Sanchez goes 7, and then Taijuan Walker with the rare 3-inning save, or 6 innings and 3 innings. I'm sorry, he went 6. The rare 3-inning save from Taijuan Walker, striking out 7 along the way as he gets his first major league save. I know I'm just about in the same group as everybody else out there is saying that Taijuan Walker was not on any of our bingo cards of being the most consistent, with the exception of Zach Wheeler in the Phillies rotation. And I am on record by saying that moving him to the bullpen was a mistake. I don't think that was where he needs to be, even though tonight he effectively showed that role tonight. And where he can be effective in that type of situation with a high velocity type pitcher that he is, coming in like mop up duty, long relief, so to speak, in a game that was well out of hand. But does he stay in the bullpen? Does he stay in the bullpen out of necessity, or does he stay in the bullpen because that's where he's best fitted this team? Or will he be forced back into the starting rotation if Ranger Suarez continues his struggles? Have we seen the last of Taijuan Walker in the starting rotation? Or is this where you want to see him? So we'll continue on with the Phillies conversation. And Eagles news tonight, Dallas Goedert is now going to be an Eagle, I guess, just at least for 2025, as they reworked his deal today, ensuring that he can stay along with the Philadelphia Eagles for one more season. I know this seems to be a contentious point with a lot of people. Everyone was saying, when are we going to get a tight end? Are we going to trade him? Why didn't we draft one? Why do we pick up, we have 4 tight ends on the roster right now. So obviously 4 tight ends are not going to be on this team to start the season. But it's a no-brainer here for me. Absolutely a no-brainer that Dallas Goedert is back because of one very important reason. I don't believe the Eagles care about the position. They don't allow their quarterback to throw to the middle of the field. So why should you invest $1 billion and draft capital, high draft capital, on a tight end when you're not going to effectively use that tight end? Because your game manager quarterback is not allowed to throw to the middle of the field. So Dallas Goedert is back. We can talk about your opinions about that. Whatever you might have about it. The Flyers, we are picking up the pieces of the number 6 overall draft pick. Things have settled down. I don't think it's all doom and gloom. I think we still get the player that we want. But lost in all this is the search for a head coach. We've always said this, or it's a very widely agreed upon point in the world of sports. When you have a team, right? A team, don't you draft players that your head coach wants? And right now the Flyers don't have a head coach. So whoever that new head coach might be, does that affect on who the Flyers take in the with the 6th overall, or is this a Danny B led operation? 100%. Does the new head coach have any input? Now I know that any hockey guy that comes in here to take over the job as Flyer head coach is going to see immediately what we all see, that is a team deprived criminally of centers. So obviously that's going to be on top of their list. But does that new head coach, whoever he may be, have any influence over what the Flyers do with that 6th overall pick? And we'll maybe talk about some head coaching candidates tonight. The Utah Hockey Club is no more. That's right. Officially today, they are now the Utah Mammoth. We broke the news a couple of nights ago that it was leaning that way because of the little social media leak a few days ago when somebody changed the URL on the official team YouTube page to the Utah Mammoth, but then quickly changed it back to the Hockey Club. But it's official today. They are now the Mammoth. I think it's a mistake. How do you decide to go with Mammoth over the Outlaws? If the Mammoth and the Outlaws are your 2 options, right? You go with a hairy elephant over a cool cowboy type criminal. You have so many options, so many better color options to go with when it comes to the Outlaws. And I've seen the new jerseys. The elephant's got a scary face and he's like scowling and all that, but I ain't buying it, man. Call them the Utah Elephants, man. But they are now the Mammoth. I think they might have missed the mark on that. I think the Outlaws would have been better. We'll talk a little bit more about that and our Day in Philadelphia Sports History, our of the night segment, and of course our card review to wrap up our final word week here on this Wednesday night. And let's head over here. Joe Hale, what's up, buddy? How you doing, Joe? Welcome to the program. Ricky is watching, as he always is. Ricky Deals in the house as well. So, again, so before we get rolling, just let me give a little programming note. Tomorrow night, I will be on post-game duty, so I have you on the Fighting's Final. It is a night game. It's not a Thursday day game. It'll be at 7:05, I guess, first pitch down there in Tampa, and I will be on right after that, taking you through the Fighting's Final tomorrow night. So no final word tomorrow. Hopefully the Phillies can get the sweep and head off to Cleveland with good vibes. So I got you on post-game duties tomorrow night. So that's why we're not doing a final word tomorrow. So let's get it going. Let's strap it in. Let's strap it on. Let's strap it up. And let's begin. Keep your head, hands, and feet inside the car all time. And we'll start with our day in Philadelphia sports history. We go back to the ripe year of 2002 for this one. And you may remember this, or you may remember where you were, or you might have seen this about a bazillion times since it happened. But this was definitely a marquee day in Philadelphia sports history because we're talking about practice.
It's easy to sum it up when you just talk about practice. We sitting here, I'm supposed to be the franchise player, and we're in here talking about practice. Well, Coach, I mean, listen, we're talking about practice. Not a game. We talking about practice. Not a game. Not the game that I go out there and die for and play every game like it's my last. Not the game. We're talking about practice, man. I mean, how silly is that, man? We're talking about practice. I know I'm supposed to be there. I know I'm supposed to lead by example. I know that. And I'm not shoving it aside, like it don't mean anything. I know it's important. I do. I honestly do. But we talking about practice, man. What are we talking about? Practice? We talking about practice, man. We're talking about practice. We're talking about practice. We ain't talking about the game.
That's right. We talking about practice. Allen Iverson's famous post-season or exit interview, I guess it was held right after the Sixers were eliminated from the 2002 NBA playoffs. After getting all the way to the finals the year before that, they underperformed in 2002. And on that exit interview, Allen Iverson went off on a minute-long tirade when questioned, I guess, by Larry Brown, publicly stating that he was having issues at practice and questioning Iverson's commitment during the season at practice. And Allen Iverson famously followed that up with a 1-minute rant about practice. So Iverson obviously, and I would trade anything to go back to that era of Sixer basketball. Now I know there's a rumor floating around that they're going to switch their uniforms back to those black uniforms. I heard a rumor. Is that going to be like the alternate jersey, or are they completely going back to them? I did hear that. I was happy when they got away from them, but because of the way things have worked out for this franchise since switching those uniforms back, go back to the black ones. Let's try to recapture some of the good time feelings of those years. And I would trade anything in this world to go back to the Allen Iverson years. A true leader, a true dominant force, a true warrior was Allen Iverson. Not the guy we have now. Not Joel Embiid. He's paper tiger compared to what Allen Iverson was. And even with the 1-minute rant of practice, which will go down in infamy in Philadelphia sports, I remember watching it live and thinking, of course, the first question I asked at the end of it was, are we talking about practice? Because I don't think I've ever heard the phrase or the word practice uttered as many times in a row than I did during that 1-minute little rant. But yeah, very infamous day today, May 7th, 2002. Allen Iverson talking about practice during the exit interview after the Sixers fell short in the 2002 playoffs. So there you go. There you have it. Your day in Philadelphia sports history. We talking about practice. Iverson never won anything, but people love him. Barber, he did not. Absolutely did not. And you can probably blame a lot of things around that. They never really, I mean, the best shot they had was the 0-1 season. And, I honestly thought they had a shot there, especially after beating the Lakers in game 1. God, I thought they had a shot at winning that series. But when you're up against Shaq and Kobe, I mean, that's a tough nut to crack for anybody. But no, they didn't win anything. But boy, he was a legit superstar. And I don't think you can question that. Yeah, I don't think you can question that. And in the era that we're living in now with the Sixers and the prospects of what the Sixers have or look at or what it might look like over the next few years, wouldn't you go back to what it looked like then? Now, I was not in favor of some of the trades they made in the 0-1 offseason. They got rid of George Lynch, and that's basically remade the team into what happened in 0-2. I got you. And they kind of went on a steady downward spiral after that. But I would trade anything to have the Allen Iverson era again, because there was just an energy to the team. Now they were coming out of a period of time where they were just terrible. And Iverson was truly a superstar, truly a Hall of Famer, deserves all the accolades that he got. And the one thing that he failed to capture in his career was that championship. So I got you there. You're right. But I would trade Iverson for Embiid, and I would go back to those days in a heartbeat based on what we're experiencing now with this team. And I do hope the rumor I heard was true, that they are switching them back to the black uniforms, because we need a jump start, man. We need a kick in the ass. We need a shot in the arm. And maybe with the new arena change, the Xfinity mobile arena versus getting away from Wells Fargo, and a uniform change, maybe this, pushes the Sixers out on the ledge. I don't know. We got to try something. But on this night back in 0-2, we've been talking about practice. And there you have your day in Philadelphia sports history, brought to you by the fine folks here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network. MB says uniforms make him loose, LOL. So is it true? Are you talking about the current uniform? Well, I wouldn't put that past him. I really wouldn't. The NBA is a bad product. Celtics are embarrassing themselves. Cleveland. So I watched a little bit of the Celtics game. I have no idea that they lose. I watched like the first half or like second quarter, something like that. I was watching kind of half-ass. I hate the NBA. It is definitely, I guess Iverson might have been it when it came to the NBA. The NBA was maybe kind of falling apart at that stage, but I go back to those. And maybe that's why I want to go back to Iverson, because that was the last true NBA product that we had, was those years. And then LeBron came, and it seemed that, really, really went downhill after that. So I agree with you, Barbara. The NBA product stinks. But we're talking about practice here on the Final Word with MattyB on this illustrious Wednesday night. Your day in Philadelphia sports history. Allen Iverson's practice rant, epic, legendary, all the above. So there you have it. All right, let's continue on with the Phillies conversation. Tonight was a great win against the team in the Rays. Let's get it out front. Let's put it out there. Let's make sure everybody hears it. Yeah, Rays suck. They're playing in a minor league stadium. And just because they're playing in a minor league stadium, does it have to feel and look like a minor league stadium? I noticed that someone brought that up on the show last night, that it just had that cheapy minor league feel to it. And I typically like that. Maybe it's because I just can't equate it to a major league team. But just because you're playing in a minor league stadium, do you have to make it look like a minor league stadium? Can't you like MLB it up just a little bit? I know you're limited to what you can do. The A's are dealing with the same problem. They're out there in Sacramento playing in a minor league stadium. The Rays are playing in a minor league stadium. You got to do what you got to do to get by. But can't you do better? And I know it's the fan bases. They lend a lot into this too. The place was deafening quiet tonight. When you can hear chatter in the stands, when you can hear somebody having a conversation over TV in the stands, you're in a quiet stadium. You got to do something, man. Turn up the amp, turn up the music system, get a light show, energize people somehow. And yes, the product on the field, when you're losing 7-0, I know it's not, well, what do you got to cheer about? But why does it have to look so minor league-y? And maybe it's not minor league, because I like minor league stadiums. I love going to them. They got an old school feel to them, most of them. Coca-Cola Park up there in Allentown is an awesome place to go to. If you've never watched a baseball game, go there. I highly recommend it. But maybe it's the spring training thing I'm just not digging. Maybe it's a spring training vibe in May. I'm just not digging. So it's a tough watch. It is a tough watch down there in Tampa right now for me, and it's boring. And yes, the Phillies are, not giving the fans much to cheer about, but there just doesn't seem to be any kind of buzz at all inside that stadium. Barbara brought it up. I think it was Barbara last night. You brought it up with the fan base issue with teams like the Marlins and teams like the Rays and Pirates and Rockies, that it's hard to, justify giving these cities franchises when the fan bases are so kind of wishy-washy. But boy, man, it was terrible tonight. It was terrible. And of course, the Eagles chants again, raining out of the stadium and around the 6th, 7th inning. Once again, Phillies fans or Philadelphia sports fans, and I'm going to say it right now, embarrassing yourselves with these stupid Eagles chants at these baseball games. It's embarrassing to the city, I think. It's embarrassing to the Phillies. And it's embarrassing to baseball. If you want to chant something, come up with a Phillies chant. It's the baseball season. We're long removed from the Super Bowl, right? And we're, 4 months away from the start of the season. Let the Phillies have their time. I mean, there's going to be plenty of time to do your Eagles chants if the season gets away from the Phillies or later on when it's late September and these are garbage games. But I am so tired of hearing them. And they went away for a while. It was evident or very, very prevalent in the opening series in Washington that you were hearing these Eagles chants, and then they went away, and now here they are back in Tampa. It's embarrassing, if you ask me. I really hate it. I think it's embarrassing, but it doesn't take away. I mean, if you want to drown them out, you got to cheer louder over them. And right now, you're not getting anything out of that stand. It must be boring as hell to be. I mean, everything that they could recapture about spring training baseball, they've done perfectly for the Rays at Steinbrenner Field, because, man, it's a tough watch. It's a very tough watch for me. Yeah. So the Phillies with a big 7-0 win tonight. Knicks outscored the Celtics like 26-4 at the end of and Tatum choked again. Yeah. Okay, so they won. So the Knicks are up 2-0. Wow. Wow. Good for them. Good for the Nova Knicks. Well, no, they're not the Nova Knicks anymore, right? They lost. DiVincenzo doesn't play for them anymore, right? Does Josh Hart still play for the Knicks? I don't even know anymore, man. I don't even care. I don't care. Trey Turner did excellent tonight. Yeah, Trey Turner had a good night. And we're going to get Joe into the game because there's some things that really stood out for me in this game. And, the big, what was it? The big 5th inning or 4th inning? What was the inning they broke up? They broke it open in the 4th. 5 runs in the 4th. No home runs in that little cluster of runs. It was all small ball. And I've said it, started saying it last week or so, I guess in the Chicago series. Small ball wins championships. You're going to win a World Series playing that type of baseball. Yeah, you if you mix in home runs to your small ball, that obviously makes you even more lethal. But you obviously cannot live on the home run alone because you're going to die from it. But the ability and the Phillies have shown over the last, I guess, since the Mets series or since the Cubs series, to play small ball and to move runners station to station, find the holes in the infield, find the holes in the outfield, drive runners in, continue to keep the inning going, has been amazing. And how amazing it's been. The Phillies, when they left the New York Mets series, were batting with runners in scoring position. They were batting around 198 at the end of that series. Right now, heading into the final game of this series against the Rays, they're batting 278 right now with runners in scoring position. And that's all told throughout the whole season. 91 for 327 so far. So they've raised their batting average almost 80 points or so in a matter of 2 weeks. And I think aided greatly by the ability to hit the ball on the field, get it through a hole, find an open spot, move runners along, do what you got to do. Rojas tonight laid down a bunt. Did anybody snap that or capture that moment for prosperity? Because Rojas was able to lay down a bunt. And it wasn't the greatest of bunts, but it was effective, and it got a run home. And that's small ball, and that's what you do. And everything was working offensively for the Phillies tonight very well. And yes, love the Rojas bunt. On the night, Trey Turner, as somebody mentioned, Turner's night, 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs. He did have the lone home run for the Phillies. There's a mixing in power with small ball is fine. That's the way you're supposed to do it. Living off the home run I've seen enough of that, and we've seen enough of that as a fan base. It does not work. But tonight, the Phillies were able to do it with contact hitting. 4 for 10 with runners in scoring position. That's almost 500, or batting with runners in scoring position. I'll take that any day. If there's a dark spot on the day or the dark spot on the night, probably has to continue to surround our BCIB. JT Realmuto 0 for 3 tonight before being removed in the 8th inning, was it? Or 7th inning when he got hurt, get the foul ball off the foot. He did score the run. He worked 1 walk and struck out 2 times. Batting average is down to 235 right now. OBP is 307, and the slugging percentage is at 374. I think, unfortunately, everyone, and you know, there's not much going towards JT. I haven't heard much criticism of JT this season, and I don't know if it's because we value maybe his other side of the game, his defensive side, which is very important to the success of this pitching staff. It is. But is that enough to keep him in the lineup? Is that enough to keep him out there every day? Now, hopefully, because we don't have really anything behind him either. So we're kind of damned if we do, damned if we don't when it comes to JT. He's going to have to figure it out because there's nothing else there. And that's because of a certain trade that went down a few years ago that I will never stop lamenting over. And that was the Logan O'Hoppe for Brandon Marsh deal, which, you know, well, is it safe to say, is that in the top 10 worst trades in Phillies history? Has that, you know, gone to that point? Maybe that's what we'll do in the show next week. Maybe we'll go over MattyB's top 10 worst Phillies trades in history. And who knows, maybe the Brandon Marsh, Logan O'Hoppe trade. I think it's too early for me really to say that's one of the worst trades in Phillies history because we haven't seen the final product with O'Hoppe. I think we've seen the final product with Marsh, but we don't know what that O'Hoppe ceiling is. And for those of you that care about O'Hoppe, which I do, through 2025, through the season so far, he's got 102 at-bats, scored 13 runs, 30 hits, 9 RBIs, 9 homers, 16 RBIs, batting .294 with an OPS of .902. So I ask you, who would you take? Who would you take? Right? Who would you take? And JT might be hurt. So is that, and that's even worse. If JT gets hurt, that's worse for me. Well, absolutely worse. Because that means Garrett Stubbs is coming back. And I mean, talk about a double shot to the heart. You know, we don't have Logan O'Hoppe to rely on, and now we're bringing Garrett Stubbs back. So catcher remains a situation for this team to monitor, and the lack of depth at catcher. And if JT, say he's not hurt, and I hope he's not. If JT does not offensively find his swing, how much does that hurt this team? And does that factor in at all in a potential trade deadline move to try to bring a catcher here? Or do the Phillies value that position? Or are they going to be pretty much sitting here saying, you know what? He still calls a mean game. He still controls that pitching staff. He still is the captain of the defense. And he does that well. And it kind of offsets what he's doing at the plate. And we just ride out the hot hand because he's going to be a free agent. So either way, we're going to be done with him at the end of the year anyway. But does JT and catcher, does that find its way onto your trade deadline needs with this team? And if it does, where in the priority is it? Is it on the top of your list? Is it at the bottom of your list? But right now we're getting nothing offensively from JT. And it's not this season. It's been pretty much over the last season and a half, going into last year. Still, his defense is still good. Still controls the game, calls a mean game. But is catcher now starting to catch your eye about a position that needs to be addressed at the trade deadline? And do the Phillies have that kind of capital, or is it one of those things where we're just going to ride it out? So that's something to keep an eye on. Steinbrenner Field looks just like the smaller Yankee Stadium, but they have to cover everything up so Rays could feel like it's their home. Yeah, no, I know. Listen, Barbara, I get it. And I know there's limitations logistically what they can do. It's not the Rays facility. It's the Yankees, all right? And I know there's many things that came into the factoring of why they chose it. It was anemones, seating capacity, location, dimensions maybe, because every minor league or every spring training field is still an MLB dimensional field. I mean, they still have Major League Baseball dimensions. It's not like you're hitting in a 200-foot yard where you can check swing a home run. I'm not saying it's that way, and I know there's many factors that come into play when you're choosing a new temporary home. And the Rays obviously chose Steinbrenner Field probably because it had maybe the largest seating capacity, and it was the way it was set up and whatnot. And I get it, but I don't know. Make it more Major League Baseball. I don't know. It just looks like goddamn minor league spring training baseball. And it just had the vibe about it. Everything from the lighting, which was terrible. Have you guys noticed the lighting there? I mean, I thought the Anaheim Angels had the worst lighting in their stadium. This was terrible. I've never noticed it before. It's probably because you play the majority of your spring training games during the day. But the lighting at that place was horrible. It was like pitch black. So I don't know, man. You got to do something to make it look better. Yep, it was me. Thanks for me. Of course, Barbara. Of course. Trey is excellent. People love to scapegoat him, but not others. Yeah. Now, listen, but Trey has now, I mean, Barbara, again, I was on the Trey Turner train, and I rallied, beat the drum all, 2022 for him? I wanted him here, or was it 23? 23. Wait, no, this is his third year, right? The Phillies? 23, 24, 25? Yeah, this is his third year. I banged the drum too, all right? And I'm not going to sit here and say that, oh, I told you so now, because I was on board too. But you got to look at this thing. It has not been, at this point, what it was advertised to be. And there's a higher expectation on Trey Turner than there is on Armando Sosa. And that just comes with the contract. It comes with the hype. It comes with what we expected, what we were buying for the player. These are all legitimate things. But you're right. I mean, he's sort of in the bullseye. But you can turn around and shift your targets to Bryce Harper anytime you want, because that's the same type of vein, and he's producing around the same, if not worse, than what Trey Turner is. But you factor in his defensive issues too, and it kind of puts people over the edge for Trey Turner. So I'm not going to sit here and say that the criticism has been unwarranted. It has, but I haven't given up on Trey Turner, and I still believe, and I don't care, Bryson Stott's working out right now as a leadoff hitter. I don't believe in Bryson Stott as a leadoff hitter, and I still believe that Trey Turner, if you're going to get maximum value out of him, and you want him at your maximum effectiveness out of him, you got to move him to the top of the lineup. He's got to be your leadoff guy. I mean, I like to think I know what I'm talking about. I rallied about moving Schwarber down the cleanup for 3 years, and it finally happened. And what's happening now is it's amazing. So, Rob Thompson, position heal thyself. Give Trey Turner an opportunity as your leadoff guy. I don't know why there's such a stigma about not leading him off. Now, Stott led off again tonight, and that's, I believe, what is it, the 19th time Stott has led off this season, 18th time, and Turner has only led off 8. Schwarber has actually led off more than Turner has at 9. So, but I still believe that if you're going to get maximum Trey Turner, you got to put him as a leadoff hitter. I have a feeling. I just believe that, he's the most prototypical leadoff hitter we have in this lineup. Stott is not. I don't care. Stott is not a leadoff hitter. He's not. And you're going to want somebody up top of that lineup as we move down the stretch. Like Turner. I really believe that. So maybe that's the problem too. Maybe he's just not being utilized correctly. And that could be definite something with this team and the way Rob Thompson manages. But I'm not off on Trey Turner. It's hard to stay on with him, but I'm not off. JT, Schwarber, Harper, and Bohm all have almost the same batting average. Yeah. I mean, they might, okay, but let's look at production though. Let's look at the consistent hitting. Let's look at the run producing. You put Harper, JT, and Bohm. They're not producing. They're not driving in the runners in the clutch moments of time, right? I know clutch is not a factor in baseball, but when you look at it, and I said this about Harper, I don't care if he goes 0 for 5, or 1 for 5, as long as that 1 is a base hit in the 8th inning with the bases loaded, or a walk, or even a sac fly, something that produces runs at some point in a clutch moment of time. Schwarber's been clutch. Every time it seems like he does get a big hit, there's runners on base. Every time it seems like he does get a big knock, he's driving in multiple runs. It just seems to the eye test that Schwarber's more productive because he's producing more. Harper has the same opportunity now. Can you put some stock on the fact that maybe Stott and Turner are not getting on base to give Harper run production opportunities? Potentially, but I'm not going to really buy that. I get what you're saying about the batting averages, but that the unwritten clutch rule in baseball that I've talked about a lot is what's, I think, separating Schwarber from everybody else right now, because he's the only consistent clutch hitter we have, and he's been the only consistent clutch hitter for the last season plus 36. So I feel what you're saying. We're getting overall the same amount of batting average, but the clutch factor is a little bit more tipped in the Kyle Schwarber favor. I think a lot more tipped, actually. He's really the only one that's been clutch consistently. You might make a case for Castellanos, but it's been Schwarber, in my opinion. Ryan Sandberg, traded for De Jesus, is the worst. So you think the Ryan Sandberg, and wasn't Larry Boa part of that? Yeah, it was Sandberg and Boa going to the Cubs for Ivan De Jesus and Rob Denier, right? Rob Denier, the blonde curly head center fielder for the Cubs, came to Philadelphia. Yeah, well, obviously, everybody decided to move off of a potential Hall of Famer for the career 8th batter in your lineup in Ivan De Jesus, and a journeyman, Lenny Dykstra before he was Lenny Dykstra, center fielder as Denier was. I like Denier, though. I thought he brought a lot of energy to the team. But yes, is that the worst? I don't know, man. Is that the worst? Or it's up there. I'll give you that. But isn't also the Julio Franco, Von Hayes 5-for-1 move? The 5 players that went to Cleveland for Von Hayes, isn't that up there too? Barber, don't you think? I mean, but I'll definitely give you that. Anytime you move off of a Hall of Fame player for a guy batting in the 8th hole, exclusively at Ivan De Jesus, and then you bring in Bob Denier, who, again, I like Bob Denier, man, but I wasn't, you can't justify trading Ryan Sandberg, but no, definitely a contender. Maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll do MattyB's top 10 worst trades in Phillies history next week. I think we'll do that. Give me some time to work on that over the weekend. Sadly, Harper was much better as a Nationals player than here with us. Yeah, it just seems to be the way now, doesn't it? And he's not getting any younger either. Every year he talks about extensions and all that, and maybe he's talking about his hair. Maybe that's what he wants. He wants hair extensions. Just, boy, if he's really talking about money, what is he at? 8 years now? Wait, was it 19? Was his first year here, right? Was it 19 or 18? 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. 7th year and 7 year of what? 13 years. Oof. When we get to about 9 years, you start looking at potentially trying to trade him. Is that he has no trade clause, right? Yeesh. Ooh. Yeah, it's not looking good, man. What was it? How would you guys look at this now? Was it Machado in retrospect over Harper? Did we still get the better of that deal? Yeah. I guess the book isn't written yet. Kurt Schilling trade was the worst. So you mean Schilling going to Arizona? Is that the trade you're talking about, Joe? God, I don't even remember who was in that trade. Kurt Schilling getting traded to Arizona. Who was that? That wasn't who was that? Oh, yeah. No. Who was that? Oh, yes. Travis Lee, Omar Dahl, Nelson Figueroa, and Vicente Padilla. I don't know. Padilla worked out a little bit. Travis Lee was on the wrong end of his career. Omar Dahl and Nelson Figueroa. God, yeah, that was a bad trade, wasn't it? But we were, our organization was headed in a different way, But yeah, that was a pretty bad one. That was a bad one. There's a few. There's definitely 10 of them that we can make a list of and have some fun with. So I'll work on that next week. We'll do the top 10 worst trades in Phillies history. But tonight, all's well. Phillies 7-0. Winners. Let's talk pitching now. Hang on, we got one. Schilling was on a couple teams even before coming to the Phillies, so I don't count him in the Sandberg class. Yeah, he was with he was drafted by Baltimore. Then he went to Houston, and then we got him from the Astros. And then he moved on from there to the Diamondbacks, the Red Sox, and then that was it, right? He retired after his time with the Red Sox. The bloody sock. I've seen that bloody sock, by the way. It is on display at Cooperstown. For those of you that care, Kurt Schilling's bloody sock is on display up at Cooperstown. It's quite graphic. Just a bloody sock. But again, a little plug for the Baseball Hall of Fame. Get up there if you can. Check it out. And the Phillies have a little bit of a Philly theme here this year. Dick Allen's getting in, so if you definitely can come up for an inauguration week, give me a call. By the way, I live about 40 minutes from there. That's where my second home is. I have an apartment in Mayfair that I still have, but I live with my wife in a place called New Hartford, which is a suburb of Utica, New York, which is about 40 minutes from Cooperstown. So come on up, and we have an in-ground pool here, right behind me. On the other side of that window is an in-ground swimming pool. So, mi casa, su casa. Come on up. But yeah. But Barbara, I disagree. I think he was a known commodity. He was a proven winner. He was a staff ace. He's my number 4 on my all-time Phillies rotation. I think he's definitely one of the best pitchers in Phillies history. He was here for about 9 years, right? 9 seasons. I think you can qualify him in that kind of a trade. Absolutely. But I think the thing with the Sandberg trade was the Phillies thought they were going to get better. You know what I mean? They thought they were getting better from that trade. Whereas in the shilling to the Diamondbacks, we knew we weren't going to get better from that. We were in a rebuild mode. I think it was all expectation built. And moving off of Ryan Sandberg, who was a minor league player at that time, was a no-brainer for a team that had a young second baseman in Juan Samuel that was ready to take over. It was a no-brainer. So I think it was more expectation-driven between the two trades. The Phillies thought they were getting better from the Cubs deal, whereas Phillies knew they weren't going to be better from the Diamondbacks deal because they were in a different kind of, rebuild type thing. But I hear you. I feel you. I heavily recommend a trip to Cooperstown for any baseball junkie. If you're a baseball junkie, if you clarify or qualify yourself as a baseball fan and you have not been to Cooperstown, shame on you. It's like taking your yearly or your once a lifetime pilgrimage to Mecca. Same thing for hockey people. If you've never been to Lake Placid, shame on you. You got to take the trip at least once in your life. I've been to Lake Placid many times. I've worked on that ice. I've refereed hockey games on the Miracle of Ice. I've been in there many, many times. It's a great town. It's a great hockey town. It's got a great little nightlife scene, great restaurants. Every other store is a hockey memorabilia store, just like in Cooperstown. They have baseball card stores, baseball memorabilia stores, great restaurants, and bars, and very family driven, very family environment. Not much of a nightlife. There's a little bit of a nightlife if you want to go out for a few adult beverages after 10 p.m. Yeah, there's something there for you, but it's all driven around baseball. And for any baseball fan, and of course you got Doubleday Field right there. So if you can imagine about 6 city blocks, that is Cooperstown when it comes to the Baseball Hall of Fame. It's one end is Doubleday Field, and on 6 blocks away down the other end is the Baseball Hall of Fame Museum. And in between those 6 blocks is nothing but baseball stores, restaurants, bars, and ice cream parlors. So if that kind of paints a picture in your head, it's very cool. And as I said, there's a good chance you're going to see me there because I work in Cooperstown on the summer. I work in a place called Dreams Park. So, again, look me up. If you come up here, we got nothing for Scott Rowland soup. No, we didn't. There's a few of them. And as I said, Barbara, give me some time to research this and we'll do some work on it next week. The 10 worst, MattyB's 10 worst Phillies trades in history. It's a good little segment to do. Keep me busy. Like I don't have enough to do. All right. So again, real fast with the pitching, Chris Sanchez pitched very effective. Was a little weird in the beginning of the game, settled himself down, 6 strong, 1 hit, 6 real strong with 1 hit ball, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts. 3 walks is not very good. And that was probably the worst part of his night. 85 pitches through 6 innings. Again, not something to write home about, but I'll take the effort. And then big effort tonight, or the big story pitching wise, is the effort of Taijuan Walker. You made it through 3 innings, struck out 7 along those 3 innings, and gets his first career save. Yes, against the Rays. Yes. But last year, Taijuan Walker couldn't strike me out. And he has been, now his ERA is down to 2.30 on the season. He has been a ray of sunshine for this rotation. You have to give him that. And I said this when they made the decision last week to unilaterally move him to the bullpen without really giving Suarez any sort of like opportunity to earn his spot back in the rotation. When they just said, you know what, Walker, you're out of here. I thought it was the wrong move. I still think Taijuan Walker belongs in the rotation until proven otherwise. But to have him in the bullpen, now, again, it might not be the most optimal place for him to be in the bullpen with no roles. What is his role in that bullpen? Is he the long reliever in the role that he kind of did today? Because you don't want to use any of your late inning guys. Again, I don't know what to say. I don't know how to say this when it comes to this crazy man's bullpen, because you would typically say you're not going to use your 7th inning guy. You're not going to use your setup guy or your closer here because they're not needed in a 7-0 game. I can't refer to those pitchers like that because no one knows what I'm talking about because we don't have a bullpen like that. So I guess I got to use the high leverage verbiage by saying we didn't have to use any of our high leverage guys today because you typically shouldn't in a 7-0 game in the 7th inning. So you go with those long relievers, those mid guys to take you the rest of the way. And was that what we saw? Is that what Taijuan Walker's role will be? Again, I know I'm asking a lot here. I know when you're talking about Rob Thompson's bullpen to say what role is this guy, that's like opening up Pandora's box. I get it. You're not going to get a straight answer, and it's going to frustrate you to the point where you're going to say, forget about it. I even asked, don't worry about it. I'll figure it out myself but does that have anything to do with this? And what I mean, I think Kirkering is struggling because of no defined roles. And I think the bullpen in general struggles because no one knows their roles out here. Is Taijuan Walker going to fall right into that trap? Is he going to be pitching in one night, 7-0 in the 7th inning and, cruising his way through 3 innings to his first save? And then the next night they're going to bring him in the bottom of the 9th, with nursing a 1-run lead with bases loaded and 1 out. I mean, is this, and can Taijuan Walker hold that, between his ears? Can he adapt to that? So Taijuan Walker's role in the bullpen, I got to stop saying the word role because that's stupid because no one can answer what the role is in anybody out there. But Taijuan Walker in the bullpen, does that work? I think no. I think you should have left him in the rotation until Suarez proved his way back into that rotation. What has Ranger Suarez done to prove he still has a spot in the rotation? Fell off a cliff last year, got hurt in spring training or came in hurt or whatever, struggled mightily in his first start. Is Rob Thompson setting us up for a scheduled loss every 5th day with Ranger Suarez because he won't move him out of the rotation? Because what damage does that do to Taijuan Walker? All right, you're in the bullpen today. Now you're going to start tomorrow. I mean, at some point, the madness has got to end. And this is where the manager comes into play. This is how a manager can lose games for you, by keeping his players on strings like a bunch of yo-yos. And this is why this fool, Rob Thompson, is never going to win a World Series, in my opinion, because he doesn't manage that way. He manages what the book tells him, and that's different than what human beings are going to tell him. So Taijuan Walker pitched amazingly tonight, 3 innings, struck out 7, gets his first career save. He's been in the league like 9 years. And the Phillies find a way to win 7-0. So, all's well, it ends well. But, the big test's coming this weekend in Cleveland. We'll see how they do with the hell with it, with the Indians. Yeah, I ain't calling them the Guardians, the Indians. Let's see what they do with the Indians and see how they kind of respond to that. But how important is that game tomorrow with Jesus Luzardo going? Right? Is that Luzardo tomorrow? Sorry, I think it is Luzardo going tomorrow, right? Am I right about that? Is Luzardo pitching tomorrow? Anybody help me out with that? I have it right here. Let me pull it up. Who's pitching tomorrow for the Phillies? Yes, Luzardo against who the hell is that? Pepiot. So yeah, Luzardo goes tomorrow. Marchand will probably definitely be catching tomorrow. And do the Phillies, is this a scheduled loss? Or how important is it? I think it's very important that the Phillies win this game tomorrow. Go to Cleveland with maximum confidence, ready to play the Indians. I ain't saying Guardians. I will put $1 in the swear jar every time I say the word Guardians when referring to the Cleveland baseball team. So the Cleveland Indians, they're going to be going to Cleveland tomorrow to play them. And I think it's very important that you win that game tomorrow. I think it's very important you sweep the Rays. I really do. And we'll see. And I will be the one on the call tomorrow for the Titans final. So I cannot wait. Cannot wait. Ooh, Walker's on his game this year. Happy to see. Yep. Who had that on their bingo card, Barbara? Did you have that? Were you one of those that were on the Walker train? I know I wasn't. Boy, I was really frustrated that we were going to get stuck with Walker for one more year. But it's worked out. It has worked out well. And I think you are messing with the juju here by moving him into the bullpen. I think you should have kept him in that rotation until he proves otherwise, right? So when Painter comes up, who goes to the bullpen? Well, it's really not a matter of who goes to the bullpen there, Joe Hales, who goes to the minors, because there's not enough people left on this roster. You're going to have to make a move. Someone's going to go down. It's not that easy. I don't know what to do there. That's an interesting question. Do you send, say, Ruiz down, Hernandez down, or DFA Hernandez? I don't think he has any options. So DFA Hernandez, send Ruiz down, move Suarez to the bullpen along with Walker. I mean, I'd be okay with that. That might be what it looks like. But again, I think we're putting a little way too much pressure on Andrew Painter right now. I mean, tomorrow night, for those of you that are keeping track at home, like I am, tomorrow night, Andrew Painter will get to start for Lehigh as he's arrived at AAA, and he will get his first ever AAA start. Don't forget, he's never pitched above AA in his career, so he'll get an opportunity to face close to major league competition tomorrow, and I think it'll be the first of at least five starts for the Iron Pigs. 5 before we can seriously talk about moving him up. And knowing Dave Dombrowski and knowing the way that this team moves his friggin' minor league players along, it may not be until August before we see Andrew Painter wearing pinstripes, but I don't think it will be because so far so good with Painter and his progression. But I think this is the first of at least 5 starts for him for the Iron Pigs over the course of the next 6 to 8 weeks. I really do. And he's going to get a heavy, hard look down in Lehigh because he's never pitched at AAA ever. So there's that factor to kind of consider too. So yeah, Andrew Painter tomorrow night going for the Pigs out there in Allentown. They're playing Worcester, the Red Sox AAA affiliate. I don't trust Orion in a big spot. I don't think the Phillies do either. Yeah, Barbara, we talked about that last night. You know, he looks a mess. He looks, like his rods and his cones are all screwed up. He looks, his eyes, the way his eyes and his face are out there, he looks like he's about 13 years old, and he's like, he wants his mommy. It's sad because I still think he's got stuff, man. I really do, and I really, I am going to blame. I'm going to go to the Emporium on this one because I think this is justified. So every time I go to the Emporium, I got to give the plug here. So let me pull it up. This next segment is brought to you by Big Al's Excuse Emporium. That's right. Big Al's Excuse Emporium, serving the Delaware Valley and Philadelphia sports fans reality issues since the summer of 2024. If you're having a hard time dealing with reality about your sports teams or your favorite sports players, fear not. You don't have to worry about it anymore. Just head on down to Big Al's Excuse Emporium, where we will make sure we provide you any excuse you need to get through the day or night or year when it comes to your Philadelphia sports teams. Right, that's right. Here at Big Al's Excuse Emporium, we service all 6. That's right, you heard it here. 6 major Philadelphia sports teams. So hurry on down today. That's at Big Al's Excuse Emporium, established in the summer of 2024. I had to give the plug. Every time I go to the Emporium, I got to give it a plug. But I think this might be on Rob Thompson here. I think Rob Thompson might have screwed up Orion Kirkering. And I really believe that. I would love to see what Ryan Kirkering would do in a bullpen that gave him a role, whatever that role is, closer, setup guy, seventh inning guy, whatever. I would love to see what he would do in that type of bullpen, in that type of environment, because I think that's the simple fix with him. I really do. He's got stuff. He's got the velocity. He's got the pitches. He just doesn't have. I don't think he has any structure to hold on to right now. And I honestly believe this type of bullpen for him is never going to work for him. And unfortunately, I think it's going to be one of those situations where the Phillies will probably end up DFAing him, releasing him. He'll, log on to somebody with a better established bullpen. And you're going to see the Ryan Kirkering that we thought we had here. And I really do believe that. And it upsets me to say that, because I really believe that that's the issue with the Kirkering. I think it's Rob Thompson. I really do. Does Ranger have any trade value? Not a thing. The best trade value he had, Barbara, was in London. The guy had like a sub 2 ERA heading into early June last year. I mean, you couldn't touch him last year. Should have moved off of him then. They should have made a blockbuster trade in June, sending Alec Bowman, Ranger Suarez somewhere. If they would have done that, we might be talking a different situation here in 2025. But no, I don't think he has any value, honestly. And everyone likes, well, this is trading for Pete Crow Armstrong of the Cubs. What are you talking about? I don't think that he has any value, honestly. And it's a shame. He starts Thursday night in Lehigh. Yes, he does. Tomorrow night. Tomorrow is Thursday, right, Joe? Tomorrow night? Yeah, tomorrow night against the Worcester, the Red Sox affiliate. They're playing them this week. I love that Emporium. It's classic. It is. It pisses him off so much when I do that. And I'll never forget the birth of the Emporium. I heard him, it was last summer. It was right like end of June, mid-June, just when they got back from London. It was, I think, they had a series with Boston and Baltimore back-to-back right after London. And they really I think they got either swept in Boston or they lost 2 out of 3. And then they lost 2 out of 3 to Baltimore. It basically was the beginning of the end for the Phillies last year. And he was going on a rant. He had the post game one night, and I'll never forget this. I really should find it's embedded over there with the EOP or Party on Broad guys, but it's over there. You can find it. You just search through their YouTube videos. I don't remember the date. It was mid-June of last year. He was going on a rant that, they're struggling because they've been away from home a long time, and they've had to take showers with shower shoes on, or the time zone different. I mean, he was pulling every freaking excuse other than bad baseball out of his what, and it just deserved I thought that was the proper response to it. Big Al's Excuse Emporium, and that was the birthplace of the franchise, and it's been going strong ever since. Al's a good sport, though. It's of course, always fun, but he doesn't think so. But yeah, so good win for the Phillies tonight. So that's going to wrap up our Phillies conversation. Let's, 55 minutes, guys, tap me on the shoulder, man. Dallas Goedert and the Eagles in the news today. Dallas Goedert is remaining an Eagle in 2025. They're going to rework his deal, keeping him here. No brainer, in my opinion. I don't think that there was, I know a lot of people were looking for a trade of Dallas Goedert, and I've been saying this all along. The Eagles have I'm sure if they could find something to trade him, I guess the reports came out that he was on the block during the draft, but nobody would move up for him, or nobody was wanting him. I don't see how that worked either, right? But anyway, whatever. But he's going to stay back. He's going to stay an Eagle in 2025. Again, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I think I said it yesterday. Who cares? Who friggin' cares? The Eagles got 4 tight ends on that roster, right? Obviously, they're not going to go with 4 tight ends to start the season. They're probably only going to go with 2, maybe 3. 2 and then 1 on the practice squad. So 3 of them are going to make the team, right? Technically. But who really cares? It's a position, unfortunately, and this is, I think, a valid point. The homers don't want to hear it. You Eagle diehard fans don't want to hear this either. But it's a position in this current regime with this quarterback that is not relevant anymore, other than maybe a blocking back, an extra guy on the line of scrimmage. But now that Ben Van Sumeren, or Sumerin, however you say his name, is going to be the full-time fullback, I don't even know if you need the blocking tight end anymore, but it's a position on this team that no longer holds relevancy. It doesn't, because your quarterback is not allowed to throw the ball to the middle of the field. What was it again? 361 pass attempts in 2024 for Jalen Hurts, and only 48 of them were to the middle of the field, right? Who lives in the middle of the field? That's your tight end. So who's going to pay big money for a guy that's never going to get an opportunity to produce? The Eagles are not bringing in Travis Kelce. They're not bringing in a George Kittle. They're not bringing in a Jeff Mayer. They're not going to bring in these types of players to play tight end because it's irrelevant to them. It's not a factor in their offensive game plan because they don't trust their quarterback to throw the ball into the vicinity of the field. It's okay. I'm not ragging on the team. I'm not telling you that the Eagles stink because they don't throw the ball to the middle of the field. And I'm not telling you they stink because they don't use a tight end or they're never going to fully incorporate a tight end. I'm just telling you that's the reason why the Dallas Goedert drama to me was foolhardy. They're not going to upgrade the position. They didn't draft a tight end in the draft this year. They didn't take somebody, and there was a few prospects there, right? They didn't use not a bit of their draft capital on selecting a tight end. And that should tell you something. They don't value the position. So they're going to rework Dallas Goedert's deal, keep him here one more year, worry about the tight end spot next year, perhaps go free agent, maybe give the job to Grant Calcaterra next year. I don't know. But the bottom line was they don't care about the position because they don't throw the ball to the middle of the field. So to me, it was a no-brainer to bring back Goedert. It really came down to price. It came down to the contract. It came down to the money. And they reworked it and they made it happen and they made it work. So Goedert will get one more year to showcase his talents when he is thrown at, and hopefully he can stay on the field and stay healthy all season long so that he can work his way into a bigger contract in 2026. So whatever. It's small potatoes for me right now when it comes to this thing. But there you have it. Dallas Goedert's back for one more year. I don't know how you guys feel about him. I mean, am I off the res by saying this? Do you believe that the Eagles still value the position of tight end? I don't think they do, honestly. Look at the way their offense is designed. And again, you could make a case for the fact that Dallas Goedert is a pretty decent run blocker versus what Grant Calcaterra is. He's not. But you have a fullback now, a full-time fullback. So do you really even need a blocking tight end anymore? So again, what do you guys feel? I mean, am I completely wrong about this? Is this something that, because it doesn't make any sense, why would they not have gone out and drafted his replacement this year? You know, if there was such a problem with the talent level, such a problem with the player, such a problem with the money, it really boiled down to the money. And they reworked the contract so he can stay. If they couldn't rework the deal, then they would have found a way to move off of him. But it had nothing to do, in my opinion, about the player or about the position. It had everything to do about managing the money. And they were able to do that, so keep him around. But I'm telling you, they don't care about the position because, and maybe saying they don't care about the position is the wrong thing to say. It's a little harsh, but they undervalue it because their offense is not drawn or run through the tight end at all. So Dallas Goedert's back. I wonder how the NFLPA feels about Goedert accepting a pay cut. Yeah, I mean, maybe they don't like it. I don't know. Is that part of, I mean, you have the right to do that, right? I mean, you can accept a pay cut. You can accept your contract to be reworked. I don't know if if NFLPA has any business in that. I think that's all built into all the collective bargaining agreements. Players have their own rights, right? I mean, I don't know. Good question, though. So Dallas Goedert back. Next week is the schedule release. And one last time, let's put that graphic up because that's going to become a hot topic. The last hot topic of the offseason will be the schedule release, which comes next week. And here you have it one more time. Your 2025 home and away Eagle schedule. Next week, we'll find out the when and where, or the when and what time. We know where, and we know who. So the more and more you look at this, the more and more it doesn't look good, especially on the road. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun. with a reworked defense that's relying on a lot of coulda, shoulda, wouldas, and an offense that's returning a lot of their starters, but doesn't throw the ball to the middle of the field, and is probably going to heavily rely on Saquon Barkley to rush for 2,500 yards again. Is this the type of situation? Is the most optimal situation to take a team into this road schedule? Because it's going to be a biatch. But next week, May 14th, we will have the schedule coming out. And then on May 15th, here on the Interrap Sports Network, the Birds Blast with Kyle Quinn returns for our unofficial start of our 6th season. Together, me and Kyle have been doing this show for 6 seasons under different names and on different platforms, but we'll be back together for season number 6 unofficially next week, when we will recap free agency, we'll recap the draft, and we'll talk schedule release as well as we get you ready for the 2025 Eagles season. Then we'll come back together again at the end of August, early September, right before the start of the game, or first game, and we'll give you our picks around the NFL, first place, last place, wild card, championship round, Super Bowl, and Super Bowl champions, and of course preview the Eagles Week 1 matchup against, fingers crossed, the Detroit Lions. I say either Lions or Rams. I think Lions or Rams is who they're going to open up against. I don't think they go NFC East because they're not going to blow an NFC East game early on in the season. The Commanders will probably be a good draw and a pretty fun game to watch, but I don't think they do that because it's an NFC East game. They're not going to take an AFC team, obviously, that has no ratings at all. And then you got the Bears, and who the hell wants to see the Bears? So I believe it's either the Lions or the Rams. I hope it's the Lions, but I'll take the Rams. But me and Kyle will be back on May 15th, 8 p.m. to break all that down. So, again, things are moving on swimmingly here on the network as we get closer and closer to the start of the football season. 1 week from today, I'll be dialed into the schedule release. Hope you have a show that night. I will have a show the next night, Barbara, as I just said, May 15th. Oh, I will be on, what do I have? Yeah, I'll be on the final word May 14th, but then we'll really break it down on the 15th. And of course, we'll do that. You know, I don't like to do it. I don't like to sit here and try to guess wins and losses in May. But you know what? I already know. I already know what I think they're going to be next year. I already figured that out. So the hell with it. We'll do that too. But the Birds Blast. You're on that. I'll definitely check out. Yes, it's me and Kyle. We are on the Birds Blast together. So during the season, we will come on Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, review the previous game and preview the next game. So it's the quintessential Eagle pregame show. That's how we call it here. It's the quintessential in Eagle pregame show entertainment. So be there or be square. All right, final thing we're going to do before we get into the of the night and the card review is our Flyers talk of the evening. Obviously, the smoke is cleared. 6th pick. Not a bad place to be. I think the Flyers will have a lot of value at 6, and I think the players that I want will be there. Roger McQueen or Caleb Denoyer. I think either one of those players will fit well at 6. Hell, James Higgins might fall to 6, and if that happens, that'd be really cool. But I think the value will be there. Of course, it would have been great to not have to cross your fingers and toes and hope to God that these teams don't pick the players you want and you're up there on your own, but that doesn't happen here because we can never have nice things in Philadelphia. We have to get hand-me-downs and pick off the carcass of other things. But 6 is not an awful place to be. And it ain't the most optimal place it could be. Could have been 4, or it could have been 1, but 6 is okay. I'll accept that. But the big question heading into this draft, aside from the player they might take, or players, or what trades they might make, is who in the hell is the head coach of this team? We are now going into mid-May, and we still don't have a head coach. Now, there's a lot of hockey still happening, and NHL playoffs are happening. The CHL playoffs are going down. The AHL playoffs are still going on. I think the only league that's not participating right now is the NCAA. But so I guess maybe the pickings might be a little slim when it comes to some of these coaching candidates because of the time of the season. But why in the heck? At some point you would think soon Danny B is going to make an announcement saying so-and-so is your next head coach. And who is that head coach going to be? Yeah, the prevailing winds say Rick Tocchet. What has Rick Tocchet ever done to deserve all of this fanfare? He had one good year out in Vancouver, toiled around with Arizona for a while. Rick Tocchet Okay. Listen, he does fit the mold, in my opinion, of the type of coach we're looking for. A coach that can continue to grow with the team, continue to teach the team. But again, I just don't look at Rick Tocchet and go, yeah, yeah. I mean, that's a fit right there. I think we're relying too much on the nostalgia. Rick Tocchett's not going to play here, right? We're asking him to coach, not jump back on the ice, put on number 22 and go to work. We're asking him to be behind the bench. So I don't know. I'm not digging the Rick Tocchet hype because no one can ever tell me why they want Rick Tocchet. What's the reasoning around it? He's struggled in his places. He struggled in Vancouver. They were so happy to move off of him this year that it was either a buyout situation. He was still in their contract, but they terminated it. Mutual termination of contract. Get him out of there. So why all this Rick Tocchet hype when there's so many more applicable, in my opinion, coaching candidates out there? And just to name a couple, there's three actually. There's three that I am leaning towards, and in order from 1, 2, and 3, we'll go 3, 2, 1 as from my third choice to my first choice. Number 3 would be Brad Shaw, right? Brad Shaw, which of course, you got to throw him in there. He, took the training wheels off the team at the end of last season. They played their asses off those final 9 games. They showed a little life. They showed some spunk. They showed some chutzpah. They showed all those things. And he does have a history with this organization, with this current group of players over the last 3 years. So there's a little continuity there. And I think continuity with this group, again, the Mike Sullivan stuff. Oh, woe is me. Why did Mike Sullivan come here? Why would Mike Sullivan come here? Mike Sullivan doesn't want to go to a team where he's going to have to literally take out his notebook, take out his chalk, and spend hours and hours teaching. He doesn't want to do that. He wants to go to a situation, i.e., like the Rangers, where he has an opportunity to win a Stanley Cup now. Right? Listen, the Flyers are a different type of situation for coaches to look at. There's no guarantee. We don't even have a complete team yet, for God's sakes. So why would I want a Mike Sullivan here? What has Mike Sullivan proven that he can do with a young rebuilding team throughout his career? He's found his way into situations where it's worked for him and he's won, right? And that's great, but we are not that situation right now. We're not. We are above. We are probably some age. The friggin' Phantoms might be a better team than the Flyers right now. That's where, that's the level we're talking about. So a Mike Sullivan, I don't want him. And I don't think he wanted us, honestly. Brad Shaw can continue the teaching, continue the learning process. I'm not saying Brad Shaw's the guy taking this down Broad Street with the Stanley Cup. Not saying that. But I don't think whoever the next coach is going to be that guy. This is just another step in that direction. We are going to have to make at least one more coaching change before we go to the promised land. Because this coach's job is to essentially pick up where Tortorella left off. Maybe, go no more hockey 101. Maybe we take it up to, sophomore English or something. I don't know, but it's sort of the same vein of what Tortorella was doing. Teaching, coaching, building pros. And I think continuity with these kids will work, right? I do. But there is a case to be made with more cap room, come more free agents, with more draft picks, come more talent. So you definitely want to have somebody in there that can quickly maybe teach faster and get this thing rolling a bit more quicker. So I don't know if Bradshaw is that guy. He seemed kind of in and out about wanting to be a head coach. He said, well, yeah, maybe, but whatever. But he's my third choice. Number 2, Ian Lapierre. Right, the head coach of the Lehigh Valley Phantoms. Again, strictly from the continuity and the teaching point. Lappy struggled when given an opportunity at the pro level. He had some chances as interim, had some opportunities to coach, but didn't really work for him well. But I wouldn't mind seeing it. Honestly, he knows intimately all these kids. I mean, he's worked with half the Flyers already as when they were in Lehigh. He obviously knows Lehigh. So again, some continuity here. I'm not factoring in the former Flyer nonsense. That doesn't mean anything to me. So he is my number 2 choice. That brings me to my number 1 choice. David Carl is the current head coach of the University of Denver. Now, here's a guy who coaches a program, NCAA, a highly, highly touted program, a perennial Frozen Four program. And he's had some international success with hockey, with the U.S. He's won gold in 24. He's won gold in 25 with the World Junior, being the head coach of the World Junior team. He's used to working with young players. He's used to teaching, but he's also used to winning. So he sees both sides of the spectrum. So I think David Carl would be if I had a choice, and if you could pry him away from the University of Denver, I would definitely go in that direction. The problem with him is, why would he want to leave? You'd have to really sell it. Why should I leave the University of Denver, a perennial national champion? And why should I leave my status as one of the up and coming, IIHF World Junior coaches and come and coach the Flyers? But I'm looking for a teacher. I'm looking for a motivator. I am looking for someone that's going to grow with the team. And I'm looking for a coach like him. He's got a lot more, credential than Hacksaw did when he came. I know it's a college guy. We're going back into the college ranks, but he's got more experience winning at college. He's got more experience winning on the international level. And he's a young guy. He's a young coach dealing with young men. And this team could use him. And I think this would be the right direction for this team, because we're building a franchise here in this city. And yeah, guess what? We might want to also build a franchise coach. So I think David Carl would be my number 1. He's my number 1 choice to take over for John Tortorella. So hopefully the Flyers. And what does that head coach and the choice of that head coach have when it comes to the draft? Is there any kind of input? Now, typically, it's a conglomeration, between the front office and the head coach of what type of player that these teams want. But hockey is such a different animal than any other sports, because you have such a limited pool of day one contributors. The Flyers are at the fringe of one of those teams this year that could potentially pull a day one guy, but everything after 6, these are all projects. So you got to be careful of weighing expectations versus ability right now. And, but what does the head coach have? And does the head coach have any real say at this particular moment in time in the Flyers history? Right. I mean, we are so talent neglect that I don't think we need a head coach telling us that we need to draft a forward. I think the Flyers can see they don't have any centers. So, and I think wouldn't it be nice to have a head coach by the draft? I mean, I'm just saying. Would be nice, but yeah, that's David Carl is my number 1 choice to be the new Flyer coach. And I was on the Lappy side. But then I started thinking about it. Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready to go back to college and get a college guy. I'm ready. Why does everybody want Tocchet? I don't know. Joe. I really don't know what Rick Tocchet has done to excite everybody. I really don't. And I want Ian Lappy. Yeah, I wouldn't mind it either. If Lappy, you know what? If we couldn't get Lappy as the head coach, move him up as an assistant. Because I think we need continuity. And I think that's the name of the game too. So there's my Flyers point. We are well over an hour. Let's get to the other night segment. Running out of time on the program tonight. All right, indeed. Tonight on the other night segment, we're going back to the Phillies prospects, and a former, 7th round pick last year by the Phillies, Carter Matheson of the Clearwater Thrashers. Actually, this is an old slide. Carter's actually with Jersey Shore now. Carter has been rocketing up the Philly minor league system since being drafted last year. He went to the University of Indiana. Began his pro career with, I think he went right to Clearwater last year. I don't think he went to FCL Phillies. I think he was right in low A, but earned a promotion early on out of spring training, actually, up to Lakewood. I keep on calling him Lakewood, Jersey Shore. and has been with the Blue Calls, but he's also been featured a ton of times on Down on the Phillies Farm segment. Since when he joined the Phillies last year after the draft up to now, he's already been on once for the Blue Claws. He is an outfielder. It remains to be seen what kind of impact he'll have, but he's a left-handed hitter, has plus raw juice and can drive the ball to all fields. But while he was willing to take walks in college and also got too passive at times and took too many strikes, his swing also got long, and we'll have to show he can be dangerous with the wood bat after not doing much during his time in the Cape Cod League in 2023. So, of course, this is sort of old, this is eons ago, but he has so far at least transitioned well. Just stepped right over low A and is now in high A, and probably projects to finish the season at double A. So Carter Matheson, 2024 Phillies draft pick, I believe it was like 7th round, 4th round, something like that. 4th through 7th round, I forget when, but I remember when they drafted him, and was a player that I think talked about last year as we were highlighting the draft, but I like him. I don't know if Carter Matheson in a very crowded Phillies developmental outfield will ever see the Phillies. He might be part of a trade, and it scares me that Dombrowski's going to have to pull the trigger on some of these kids, but Carter Matheson could be part of that. I wouldn't mind him seeing him as a Philly. I think he's a Philly, what do I say, 2028, which is 1,000 years from now. So I don't know if he lasts that long within the system, especially if he continues to rise as fast as he's rising. But a good young prospect outfielder, Carter Matheson, a former draft pick by the Phillies in 2024. And there's your Of the Night segment, brought to you by the great people over at the PNM and the AM program. It's back, and it's going to be seen every Sunday at 9 a.m. Pat and Mike will be here, so you need to be here with them, because I can't explain what they do. You just have to see it for yourself. So PNM and the AM every Sunday at 9, and that leads me to my favorite time of the night. That's it. It's MattyB's card review time. I look forward to this every single day. We did not do it last night. We ran that long. We didn't do the card review, but we're back tonight, and we're going to hockey. We're going back to hockey. Hockey cards are sneakily becoming very valuable in the sports card trading market. It's completely a 180, really, from what they've been in their history. And from the digital era, the wax era, hockey cards, unless you're sitting on a Gretzky rookie, unless you're sitting on a Lindros rookie, and his cards are still wax. There's not much value in them. But now, in the digital age, with the way Upper Deck, who solely pretty much is the purveyor now, I mean, Skybox does some things. Classic Opeachy, of course, still carries hockey cards, but Upper Deck has really sort of like separated themselves in the hockey business. So if you're out there looking to get into hockey card collecting, it's lucrative, it's valuable. Look at Upper Deck and Opeachy as your primary supplier there, because they have been putting out some really good digital products. Even some of the scrubbiest players, because of the layout of their card and the stuff that was put into the card, are still like $5 cards. So hockey cards are finding their way in the modern market, but we're going way back to 1991 tonight. That's right. We're going back to the wax era, back to that era of cards, and we're going to Scores 91 hockey cards. And in the 91 Score edition, they did a kind of a tribute to the family ties of hockey. They released a series of cards within their set that highlighted brothers playing together or separately, but playing in the league. Brothers, fathers, cousins. There's a bunch of these cards floating around. It's they call it the brother or the family edition. It was a parallel or an insert into the 91 Score. And tonight's featured card is the where is it here? There it is. It's the 91 Score NHL Brothers Aaron and Neil Broughton card. course, I remember both these players growing up. Aaron Broughton, of course, is a member of, well, what do you think he's a member of? Was it Aaron Broughton who's a member of that? Or was it Neil Broughton? Yeah, he's the member of the 80 Olympic team. Yeah, Aaron Broughton was a member of the Miracle on Ice team. He played for the U.S. Olympic team in the 80. That was pretty much the highlight of his international career. I mean, of course it would have been. Had a very solid NHL career spanning over what? I mean, 16, 17, 18 seasons in the National Hockey League. Finished with 186 career goals, 748 games played. Was a player that growing up you took notice of because he was a constant player. He was always up there. He was played for Colorado, New Jersey, Minnesota, Quebec, Toronto, and Winnipeg. 106th overall pick taken in the 80 draft. Again, a member of the 80 Olympic team, the Miracle on Ice team as well. So there you go. There's Aaron Broughton and his brother Neil, who is his younger brother or his older brother, I believe. No, younger. Is Neil younger? Let's see. Neil was Neil Broughton was a member of the 80. God damn, why am I messing this up so much? Yes, I'm sorry. Neil Broughton was the member of the I thought it was Neil. It's Neil Broughton who was a member of the 80 Olympic team, not Aaron, but Neil is the older brother to Aaron. He played for Minnesota, Dallas, New Jersey, and Los Angeles. His career spanned over 1,100 games, 289 goals, 638 assists for 923 points over 17 seasons of National Hockey League play that ended in 97. But if you had to kind of pick what was the better one, it would probably be Neil. Neil Broughton was probably the better brother out of the whole family. But Aaron and Neil Broughton were fixtures in the National Hockey League together, and in 91, Score captured them on the NHL Brothers edition. Very many of these variant cards. That's the blue border one. I have the purple border one. It doesn't matter. Both these cards are worthless. $3 mostly I could find it for, but it's nostalgic. I like what Score did. They also did one with the Sutter brothers and the dad that year that I have that we'll probably eventually get to at some point. But I like the fact that Score went with that brother kind of theme in 91. It's a cool like addition. It's a cool variety to the set. And the Broughton brothers were fixtures in the National Hockey League from my youth. And they were quality players, man. I would have, especially Neil was the better of them. Again, Neil was a member of the 80 Olympic team. So, a cool card, a cool design card, a wax era card, but a cool card. So there you have it. MattyB's card review tonight. The Broughton brothers, NHL brothers card. And here is mine. Again, I have the purple bordered one there. I showed you the blue one. It doesn't matter. These cards are worthless, but this card's a good shape. Sharp corners, good centering, and good quality. So maybe a 9, maybe a 9. Yeah, maybe a 9. But there you have it. And that's it, folks. We've come to the end of another journey together. This is it for our week. I will be back on Sunday with the final word. Then I'll be back also tomorrow night. But you won't miss me that much because I'll be back tomorrow night with the Fight's final, and then on Sunday with the final word. But heading into the weekend, remember tomorrow night at 9, you got the Attacking Third with Pat and Steve. Sunday at 9 a.m., you got the PNM and the AM program with Pat and Mike. You got me, and you got the Fight's final throughout the weekend, taking you through the rest of the Rays series and then the Indian series this weekend. And so we'll be together, and I'll be back. It'll be Sunday night before you know it, and we'll be back ready to do this again. But until we talk again, have a great night, rest of your night, and even better tomorrow. Take care.